Hey guys, today I'm going to do a study on Exodus chapter 21, so let's get into it. These are the ordinances that you are to set before them. When you buy a Hebrew slave, he is to serve for 6 years. When he is in the 7th, he is to leave as a free man without paying anything. So God is saying, if you buy like a Hebrew slave, like he is to serve for 6 years. In the 7th year, he is to leave as a free man, and this is kind of like also like a parallel to the Sabbath, which 6 days, and then on the 7th day he's to leave without paying anything. And also like this allows like people to not be in like the Hebrew people to not be like in slavery for like a very long time and like be permanently in slavery and actually have a chance to be free. If he arrives alone, he is to leave alone. If he arrives with a wife, his wife is to leave with him. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons and daughters, the wife and her children belong to her master, but the man must leave alone. So it's saying if he arrives alone, he leaves alone. If he arrives with his wife, and then he leaves with his wife, and if his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons, and then he is to leave alone because he came alone. But if the slave declares, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I don't want to leave as a free man, his master is to bring him to the judges, and then bring him to the door or the doorpost. His master will pierce his ear with an awl, and he will serve his master for life. So, if the slave decides that he loves his master, or he loves his wife and children, well, so much that he wants to be a slave to them, and also, like, Hebrew slavery, like, is not, like as bad as the black slavery we have in, like, the 1800s, 1700s. It's not as bad as that slavery. It's more, less discriminatory and less, bad. But, and also, like, God is making it even less bad than it already is for, like, the Hebrews, because he's making it so that they can, like, leave 7 years. And if the slave wants to stay, because this shows that, like, this shows that some slaves will love their master and love their wives and children. And then the masters won't be, like, bad. Because just because someone's a master or a slave doesn't mean they can just do evil deeds to them. They still have to not do what defies God's law if they have slaves. So if the slave wants to stay with the master, then he will be his slave for the rest of his life. When a man sells his daughter as a concubine, she is not to leave as the male slaves do. If she is displeasing to a master who chooses her for herself, then he must not let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to foreigners because he has added treachery to her. So if she is displeasing to the master, then she has to be redeemed, and he has no right to sell her to foreigners. He is as treachery toward her. If he chooses her for his son, he must deal with her according to the customary treatments of daughters. So if he takes a slave for his son, then he must treat her as a daughter. If he takes an additional wife, he must not reduce the food, clothing, or marital rights of the first wife. So if he takes another wife, he can't give less to the first wife, so that he can, like, give more to the second wife. And if he does not do these breedings for her, she may leave free of charge without any payment. So if the man breaks any of these laws, or like breaks any of these things, then she may leave, like, stop being like a concubine and stop being a slave. Whoever strikes a person so that he dies must be put to death. But if he did not intend any harm, and yet God allowed it to happen, I will appoint a place for you where he may flee. So if someone strikes a person like with the intent to kill him, then he must like be put to death. But if he was not trying to kill him and God allowed it to happen, I will like have a place where he may like go and run away and like be able to not to get killed. If a person schemes and willfully acts against me able to murder him, you must hate him from my order to be put to death. So if a person like schemes and like does some tricks to like do something bad, like to murder his neighbor, like doing a plan to murder him, then you must kill him. Whoever strikes his father or his mother must be put to death. So if you hit your mother or your father, you will like get killed. Whoever kidnaps a person must be put to death. Whether he sells him as a person or sells him or the person is found in his possession. So if someone kidnaps a person, then they must be killed. Whoever calls his father or his mother must be put to death. So if anyone like, and this means like not like swear words, but like causing them with bad things, like say, oh, this will happen to you, or something like that, then they must be put to death. When men quarrel and one strike the other with a stone or his fist, an injured man does not die but is confined to bed. If he can later get up and walk around outside leaning on a staff, then the one who struck him will be exempt from punishment. Nevertheless, he must pay for his lost war time and provide for his complete recovery. So if two men fight and one man injure another but he ain't killed, then the person who injured that person should not be killed, but he should pay for the lost time and provide money for him to recover. When a man strikes a male or female someone rod and the slave dies under his abuse, the owner must be punished. However, if the slave can stay in bed for a day or two, the owner should not be punished because he is his owner's property. So, if a man kills his male-female slave and they die, then the man should be killed. But if not, he should not be punished because it's his owner's property. And I think this is under the assumption that he's striking them because he's like, because they did something wrong and like they didn't follow his orders, and he's in a place of command over them. When men get in a fight, hit a pregnant woman so that her children are born prematurely, but there was no injury, the one who hit her must be fined as a woman's husband demands from him, and he must pay according to the judicial assessment. If there is an injury, then you must give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hair for hair, foot for foot, bone for bone, bruise for bruise, wound for wound. So, if a man hits a pregnant woman, and then and there was no injury, then the woman's husband will he must pay according to what he wants and what the judge decides is fair amount of money to pay. And if there's an injury, so depending on the injury, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for foot, foot for foot, bone for bone, bruise for bruise, wound for wound. So if someone does an injury that has someone's hand get cut off, then that person must cut off the other person's hand. Or if someone gouges out someone's eye, then their eye must be gouged out. And if someone gives a bruise to someone, that person should get a bruise. When a man strikes the eye of his male female slave and destroys it, he must let the slave go free in compensation for his eye. So if this man strikes the eye and the eye gets destroyed, then he must let him free because he destroyed the eye. If he knocks out the tooth of his male or female slave, he must let the slave go free in compensation for his tooth. So if someone destroys the eye or tooth, then they must be let go free. So this is kind of distorting people from going too hard on their male and female slaves from because they're allowed to punish their slaves as long as it doesn't kill them or destroy the eye or break the tooth. So they're allowed to do stuff as long as Like, they disobey them, they're allowed to beat them, but they're not allowed to, you know, do something insane to them, like there's a limit to how far they can go. When an ox goes a man or woman to death, the ox must be stoned, and its meat may not be eaten, but the ox owner is innocent. So, if an ox kills a man or woman, then it must be killed and it should not be eaten, but the owner of the ox should not be tried for its ox. However, the ox was in the habit of going and its owner has been warned, yet it does not restrain it. It kills a man or woman. The ox must be stoned and its owner must also be put to death. So, if the ox consistently does this, and the owner knows about this, and he does not restrain it or tell anyone to stay back away from it, and then the man or woman dies by it, then the owner should also die with the animal. If instead of reason is demanded of him, he can pay a redemption price for his life and the full amount demand from him. So, unless, like, if someone demands, like, a price to be paid, then he won't be killed, but he must pay the price. If it goes a son or a daughter, he is to deal with it according to the same law. If the ox goes a male or female slave, he must give 30 shekels of silver to the slave's master, and ox must be stoned. So, if an ox goes a male or female slave, he must give 30 shekels of silver, and ox also must be killed. When a man uncovers a pit or digs a pit, and does not cover it, and the ox or donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit must give compensation. He must pay to its owners, but the dead animal becomes his. So if an ox or donkey falls into it, the owner, the person who dug the pit, will give money to the owner, but the dead animal will become his. So he can use the dead animal however he wants. When a man's ox injures his neighbor's ox, and when it dies, they must sell the live ox and divide its proceeds. They must also divide the dead animal. So, if an ox kills another ox, then they must sell their ox and divide its proceeds to the person. They must also divide the dead animal. If, however, it is known that the ox was in the habit of going, yet its owner had not restrained it, he must compensate for the ox for ox, the dead animal will become his. So, if the ox has been known to kill people and he knows of it, they must give up the ox fully, and not give it divided halfly. But yeah, so this is Exodus chapter 21, which has some laws about slaves and laws about people getting injured and what people should do for the injury. And yeah, so this is so yeah, if any experienced Christian sees this and I said something wrong, please correct me. And if you like this video, like it. And if you think I'm doing something good, subscribe. And I will see you the next day if the Lord wills. Bye.